My name's Sharland and this is Bryony, and we are wellbeing experts who are here to support educators individually and as part of a team. We focus on building knowledge and strategies to unlock your own and your pupils' academic and emotional potential. We are results driven and we're geared to embedding effective, time-efficient wellbeing strategies throughout daily life within education institutions. And these sprinkles of brilliance that we spread through our clients' education establishments have a really, really powerful impact.
Absolutely. Now, our webinar today is addressing the fact that education is in a mental health crisis. So, in 2019, The Guardian reported a mental health of pupils is at crisis point. A survey of school leaders and head teachers in England found that anxiety, self-harm, suicide are all rising. And out of 8,600 school leaders, teachers, support workers, a huge 83% had witnessed an increase on the number of children in care with poor mental health. This rises to 90% among students in colleges.
It's unbelievable. Nick Bennett from Forbes.com in a research showed that 97% of UK students felt that they would actually benefit from emotional support and modules within their education. And that 96% of them said that emotional education could help reverse their mental health crisis. 65% said it would protect them from encountering mental illness because they felt like they didn't know, they weren't equipped with the skills to cope with their thoughts and mind processes. And 52% agreed it would help them better understand how to take care of themselves and, most importantly, each other.
So we want you to cast your mind to your students. Who has children or students in their class who have extreme emotional locks, who are experiencing barriers to learning and are displaying behaviours of unhappiness or negative pathways to the brain? And is this getting better every single day? And in fact, in most cases, it's not. It's actually getting worse and are stuck to where to go.
So here comes a really hard part. Cast your mind now across you and your team and across your emotional journey that you're undertaking every day and every week. Really common words that we're receiving within our teaching communities and clients is that people are feeling overworked, overwhelmed, there's no work-life balance, they have no time and not enough of it, and they have so many jobs and roles they don't know where their head's at. When we asked 300 teachers how they were feeling, this list came up. And the common feelings were stuck, wanting to leave education. They feel unsupported and tired.
So if you or your students find yourself being in any of the categories that we just spoke about, now is your time to step into something new. Something that is going to shift your mindset, job satisfaction, and your whole teaching experience. Our primary focus is to impact mental health within education on a large scale. We will and we are making positive change with all of our clients every single day. We work with educators who are serious about improving the state of wellbeing and creating a deeper impact to their culture and the climate of their departments and their institutions.
So today, we are here to open doors to you of sharing our strategies for absolutely free that will organically allow you, both the educator and for your students, to make shifts up the wellbeing ladder. The fact that you are joining this training shows us that you know more than ever that mental health has to be addressed with focus, consistency, and a drive from us, the teachers. The children don't know how to do this alone, and that's whether they're 4 or whether they're at university. They need us educators to lead their way. Their families may not understand what wellbeing and mental health even is. Therefore, you and your institution have a responsibility to role model and lead the way with wellbeing and mental health. Little time given to creating positive solutions leads to massive change for everybody. Education right now is wallowing in a stress of overwork battles and challenging behaviours, and the children are being impacted and the staff are being impacted.
Absolutely. And there is no magic wand to change, but there is a way to change it, and you can do this. We know, we are teachers, and it changed for us when we did the one thing. That transition sits within our power and our hands. Therefore, if you want it to be different, the power is within you. And you don't need others around you to change, and you can impact your work positively and make your own changes. And this seminar is about equipping you with a taster of wellbeing and mindset strategies that we use every single day, and schools use it with our framework to be able to make this impact. When you improve the mental health and well-being among staff, students, then you will naturally unlock yours and your students' emotional and academic potential, and it's huge. And the academic results look after themselves, because when the educators are thriving, your students are engaged, and these new and innovative strategies within the classroom are going to make that powerful change. Now, collectively, we have been teaching for over 30 years, mentoring, training and coaching within education. And we have discussed every reason why you may feel you may not be able to make a change. But we hear it all the time: I'm too busy to give this 30 minutes a listen, and I have more important things to do right now.
But now we're going to be real with you. Some of you will be feeling these restrictions, and that's okay. And we are experienced in this, and we hear it more than you would even imagine.
Absolutely.
But our simple answer to you is this: it's not the case. The resistance is because change can spur in you a feel of uncomfort and unsettled, because change means that we have to own responsibly our behaviours. So ask yourself, if you don't try something new, is your job realistically going to improve? Now, every minute that you stop, you listen, you take notes, you consider and reflect on yourself, your team and your students, you will feel the results in you being able to action positive change from tomorrow when you step into work. And that's why you should listen. What have you got to lose?
Absolutely.
But for those of you that haven't worked with us before we share with you that strategy, you might be wondering a little bit, who are these people and who are they to tell us about these strategies?
Absolutely. Meg and I, like I've said, are experienced, qualified teachers, mentors, coaches within education. And we are very proud to have an extensive 30 years between us, spanning education sectors from early years all the way up through to postgraduate. And we have delivered and trained collectively over 10,000 students easily. And we inject passion, inspiration and motivation with all of our pupils, no matter what education sector they're from. And we do this in a range of topics and subjects. Our infectious nature has been shared with a huge 1,500 teachers in our training program across the UK and beyond, with 350 people already just in 2020 alone. And so this is a fraction of the amount of educators that we are going to work with throughout 2020. Now, we have a history of outstanding teaching observations, and we are determined to share with you the strategies that we have created over the last 11 years. And these are game changers. And they will start to shift you dramatically. The transformation in your school and your well-being at home and at work will change. Now, highlights for us in our career have been speaking and lecturing at Cambridge University. We have done national conferences with PE and international coaching companies. And our warm and fun approach to results and that can-do culture is where staff and students really truly see that impact and that change. And that's what we're aiming for. These subtle shifts in delivery and perspective and that consistency to apply these strategies will make all the change.
So now we're going to start to share with you our strategies and introduce you to what is going to make that difference for you. So within this webinar, it is designed for you, the educator, who knows that there has to be a better way to what is right now. So before we start, I want you to pick a figure of how focused you feel, how engaged, how much attention you are placing on the right here, right now. Make a mental note of it or log it down. Accept it. And this is the parameter in which you're learning right now, whatever percentage, we are going to maximise it. And to maximise it, what we want you to do is just to take 4 to 5 deep breaths. And we just want you to focus on your own well-being, clearing the mind, everything you've done for today, and focusing on how you can get the most out of your time because you are using your valuable time to grow and expand. You can release unwanted thoughts to maximise your focus. Breathing in and out. So let's do this, let's break down our strategies.
So you just need one strategy from our framework to commence this shift. And the hardest ones to embrace requires a bold teacher, that teacher who takes their role seriously and understands the powerful position that teachers hold in their job. And building that can-do culture is crucial. And the way we talk to ourselves forecasts the mind how we engage in any activity and about how we see a situation and how we feel and the satisfaction we get within it. As adults, our belief system has been created throughout our lives. All of us, up to the age of 7, is where our subconscious mind is set. So, what others have told you and what you've picked up from others builds that belief system and that value you have within yourself. And when we teach, that's how we role model and it amplifies to everyone around us. So pupils, colleagues, governors, even all the way out to parents.
So how we build pathways and reset pupils' perceptions of themselves is absolutely key. For a moment, what we want you to imagine is one of your pupils in your class or one of your students in your lectures that challenges you with their behaviour. What is something that you often say to them regarding their behaviour or their attitude? Take a couple of breaths and picture them and really tune in to what is preventing that learner from maximising their learning experience with you. What's preventing them from fulfilling their tasks. And if you've got a notepad and pen, write it down, share what it is about that pupil. I'll give you some examples of what teachers have shared with us. That certain pupils say literacy is hard for them. That if the pupil spent as much time on their spellings as a computer, maybe they'd get better. That they're always distracted. They never really seem to listen to a task. They always make things into a joke. They can be really clumsy and rush things.
So how is this affecting your student? Is it motivating them? Is it guiding them to improve? And is it allowing them to address a solution? How do they feel when you say those things? I would probably feel like it's not worth my effort. Sounds like I'm not great and it might be easier if I just don't bother.
Yeah, totally.
How would you feel? How would you feel if you have someone who speaks to you like that? And how do you turn it around? Because this magic wand isn't here. And actually, what we can do is we can take a trait and then we can transform it into a strength. And these actions then mean you can address it that way. And the share today's webinar is called Reframing. And this is an amazing tool that will completely impact your teaching. And this is the basis to all of our framework and our strategies. Because whatever wellbeing strategy you adopt in your school, without reframing, you are not going to be able to build a positive learning culture.
So stage 1 of reframing is working through your students and working out your belief system and their belief system that they have upon themselves and what you kind of believe about their learning patterns too. So you write down the character traits of the student that challenges you and that holds them back. So I'm going to give you an example why you maybe have a little think about that. And I'm going to use a 14-year-old boy who has been receiving coaching for exactly beating and moving forward his mindset battles. And he feels labelled by his educators. And actually, when we've been working within this environment, we've been working with the pupils directly too. So it's been very insightful in terms of learning how the pupils think the teachers perceive them. So he feels that he's being labelled and isn't overly valued. And not intentionally, but actually some of the things that he's coming up with, he can see that they are truths. But what they are saying isn't facilitating his potential. And that is what reframing does. It blocks your mind because it makes you see the bad side of things and you label yourself. So examples that he raises in the sessions with us is, people think that you're all or nothing, you always have something to say when I tell you off, and you stop listening after the first time I explain something, you have a short attention span. Now that is actually, when he doesn't complete a task, he is telling himself those excuses, and they're actually becoming a justification for his progress and growth. By 14, if every teacher has highlighted those things, his subconscious mind closed at 7. He's had 7 years of telling himself those repeated stories. So he has no internal belief system about his academic potential. They have become personality traits. Is it his fault? No. Because he's not being supported to change. It's not being facilitated by the people that are educating him. And our framework is about giving you the skills to equip teachers and educators to make the best out of every part of their job. So that in turn, their life within the classroom or the lecture becomes easier. As you're building a true connection and positive relationship, not judging your pupils, you're supporting them and helping them grow. So stage 1 is about identifying those challenges and hurdles that are kind of blocking and locking learning potentials.
Absolutely. So stage 2 is the reframe. And reframing is one of the most powerful
tools. It's our
favourite. It is. It should be the centre of all education, in our opinion.
Yeah.
For you and your students to shift your mindset and belief system and convert it into something really strong and powerful, reframing is everything. You accept and embrace the feeling, and then your mind creates a more positive release of hormones throughout your body. And when this happens, the learning centre of our brain opens. We are more informed, we make more informed decisions, and we have improved clarity. And as teachers, that's pretty massive.
And that's been approved in so many researchers, including at Harvard University. So there really is the science to back it, which is so important to take on.
And we have a webinar explaining how those chemicals work. So if you want to check that out later, just to give you more backbone behind what we're talking about, then please do check it out. So this reframe is flipping the coin on these negative belief systems. And this helps staff and students build and reframe. So as we go through these, I want you to pick which option as a person you would prefer to hear yourself. And that's the one that you should be communicating with your students or your parents on Parents' Evening, because lots of us have got that coming up soon.
So the first one, to remind you, his statement is, they think I'm all or nothing. So a teacher going, you are all or nothing. The reframe version is that when you are focused, you have such powerful concentration, you will be able to achieve great things in your career. Or how can we spark your concentration in areas that don't engage you quite so much? Can I help you on the areas that aren't engaging you? As if we do, I think you'll be amazed by your potential.
So, the one with, you always have something to say when I tell you off, see me after class. You are articulate, confident, and I appreciate your perspective. Life is about timing and learning when to have a conversation. I will gladly discuss this with you after class so we can find a way to positively move forwards. Thank you for learning to share your opinion. This will stand you in great stead when you are a director of a company someday.
The third option, you stop listening after the first time I explain something. You have a very short attention span. You always want to take action on a task straight away. that shows great enthusiasm. Brilliant. Well done, you. Just be aware that sometimes we can miss some tips by doing this. So please ask me if you need some more support. Now, I know which ones out of those that I would pick. I have a full house of selecting the reframes every time. How about you?
So the key here is about shifting your communication to the reframe versions. Considering your students, their challenges, and then shining a light on how to embrace and channel their focus. So think back to that one student of yours and their challenges. And let's take a minute and start to write your reframe. So what strengths come to mind and what weaknesses are you seeing? So I want you to highlight them when you come back after this webinar and really think about how you're going to reframe these.
And it's really important. Now, these reframes was geared to a 14-year-old, but reframing stands whether you are in a nursery, early years, or up to university level. So an example in a nursery could be, this child is so clingy. And if a parent is hearing that, or a child is permanently hearing that they're clingy, they are going to grow up with this belief system that they are. So actually, again, shifting it, an example would be, you have such a strong attachment with people you trust. That's a wonderful thing. And then you work on building more attachments. So you are creating the belief system the whole way through of positivity. So stage 3 we're going to move on to now. And actually, out of all of them, this is the absolute most important one. And actually, I was having a discussion with a head teacher today who can very much see whose staff are being so consistent with commitment and sharing their reframing and positivity with their pupils, their colleagues, and absolutely their parents too. So every time that you do a reframe, you are shifting your belief and your pupils and everybody around them. So using your positive words to empower everybody, forming the strong positive belief systems. When you give feedback and embrace these reframes every step of the way, as you converse with your pupils and students, you are saying your reframes to them. That way, these positive hormones and happy hormones get released within the pupil, opening their learning centre up and instigating positive learning rather than negative blocks. The reframe option creates and encourages pupils naturally to have and receive praise and be motivated. You're giving your pupil and student a reward. Therefore, they are more likely to respond. They are more likely to want to return with motivation and to learn more with you. It's the ripple effect. And that, as a teacher, is what we are about. It's about rippling and radiating positivity for maximising growth of emotional and academic potential. So you need to see your pupils in their positive light and facilitate them to change. The parents will become more positive when you share with them the positive traits that you see and the potential that that child has, rather than identifying everything that is locking and blocking them from learning.
This is massive. Every conversation, every action you take is feeding your students' belief in themselves. And pupils and students are pretty intuitive, and they sense when a teacher doesn't respect them or doesn't like something about them. So be considered with your belief systems of your students. And every student that enters your teaching environment has the right and deserves a chance. And actually, this is absolutely key. You are the potential voice of that little person, that vulnerable teenager or degree student. And how you talk will affect their emotional response and their belief forever.
So shifting your use of language to positive reflection and positive action will create positive transformation within your class and your school. Extensive airtime on weaknesses with judgments and statements about their behaviour will limit their self-belief system and just block it short term, but for the long term too. Everyone has their mind systems and their set beliefs, and how you are talking to yourself and others will decide your emotional state, your job satisfaction within your work, as well as your pupils within your class. So each time you share a positive reframe and belief system, remember those positive hormones are released and they are not capped. And if you give space for the hormones, the fight or flight voice, actually that insecurity voice that we have in our head cannot come out and convince the pupil that they can't do something. They will be open to learn, they will be open to grow, and that snowball effect of negativity will absolutely not happen.
Absolutely. And I think this is a great time to share with you a quote from Claire Flatman, who is a head teacher at Worthing Primary School in Suffolk. And she shared with us, because we've been working with her, we place well-being at the heart of our school life because our children deserve an excellent education. That prepares them not only academically, but also emotionally for the challenges they will face inside the classroom and beyond. Invested Wellbeing is the platform to make that happen. We have observed significant changes in some of our boys in particular